I'm Trixie Alonzo, one of your hosts today. So we'll just have to proceed on our first question. What are the significance of law in business? So let's have our introduction. So we'll just have to explore how the law provides a framework for business, and also it ensures the fairness and upholds the accountability. So business transactions don't just happen by chance. They're just guided by rules and regulations that defines the rights and responsibilities of each transactions. So giving structure to the way of the organizations or the company and individuals interact. So before we move deeper, let's ask an important question. What are the areas of law and applied in business? So these questions will guide us in our discussion as we uncover the main legal pillars that affect business operations every day. So when we talk about the areas of law applied in business, so it has several key fields come into play. So this include the consumer protection, intellectual property, contracts, and employment law. So each of this ensures that both business and individuals operates fairly and responsibly. So let's go deeper into how these laws actually shape business practices. So before we move deeper, let's ask an important question. What are the areas of law and applied in business? So these questions will guide us in our discussion as we uncover the main legal pillars that affect business operations every day. So when we talk about the areas of law applied in business, so it has several key fields come into play. So this include the consumer protection, intellectual property, contracts, and employment law. So each of this ensures that both business and individuals operates fairly and responsibly. So let's go deeper into how these laws actually shape business practices. Contracts are legally binding agreements that set out the rights and responsibilities of each party. So they are the backbone of the business deals, whether it's delivering goods, providing services, or even making payments. So contracts, it ensures the promises are enforceable. So if one party doesn't fulfill the obligation, then the other has legal protection to seek remedies. The next is we have the employment law. So employment law, this area focuses on fair treatment in the workplace. So it covers the wages of the employees, workplace safety, the benefits, and even the termination policies. So employment law protects workers from exploitation, but it also balances the rights of the employers. For businesses, it means creating a safe and fair environment while following legal standards. And there is also a corporate law. So this governs how businesses are formed, structured, and managed. Well, it also deals with shareholders' rights, mergers, acquisitions, and even the governance. So essentially, the corporate law makes sure that the companies act responsibly, transparently, and in compliance with the regulations. So without it, some businesses could operate without the accountability. The next is another important area, which is the consumer protection. So the consumer protection, this is ensure that the buyers are treated fairly. So it means that it also covers the things like product safety, advertising honestly, and also the warranties of the products, and lastly the return policies. So this let's think about this way. So without the consumer protection laws, people could be easily deceived and unsafe by the products or might reach the market. So some unsafe products might reach the market, which is above the standards of the law or the policies. Well, this law builds a trust between the businesses and their customers. So that's why some customers have gained the customer satisfactions when it comes to their products if the business is following the safety standards and also the food safety. And another is the advertising or good advertising or marketing strategies na meron si business. And finally is we have the intellectual property law. So this protection, creations of the mind is such an inventions, trademarks, patents, and copyright. So it allows the investor and also in the innovators and other businesses to benefit their ideas while preventing a theft or misuse. For example, if a company creates new technology, IP laws or intellectual property law ensures that the competitors can simply copy it without consequences. So, dito na papasok yung patent. So, if you have a product na produce on your own, so ipapapatent mo siya para ikaw lang yung pwedeng gumamit ng product na yun on your own name lang. Then, if someone or some businesses could tried to use your product on their own name without any legal protection, so pwede nyo silang i-demanda. So let us read the case sample here. So a retail company enters into a contract with a startup supplier to provide raw materials needed for production. So both parties are agreed to delivery dates, the quality standards, and even the payment terms. So we already illustrated what the case sample has. So the contract signed, there are both sides agree to the terms and sign a legally binding agreement, which is considering the delivery dates, the quality standards, and the payment terms. The second is breach. So the supplier fails to deliver the goods on time, disrupting the company's operations and causing financial losses. So this is the breach or the problem na hindi nakasunod si supplier or retail company. So what will be our legal remedy? So the retail company invokes the contract's remedies clause. So seeking either damages like the monetary compensation for losses and or termination of the contract to find a new supplier. So it really depends on the company if the retail company wanted to have a new supplier or they'll just have to give some penalty or monetary compensation for the losses of the delay of the products on the startup supplier. So it really depends on the supplier if we'll just have to continue the contract itself or it will be a terminated contract and have a new supplier. Well, on the application of law, so we'll just have to use here is the contract law, which is the ensures that agreements are enforceable and protects the injured party when one side fails to perform their obligations. So, meaning to say, one party here has failed to perform their obligations in the contract, which is a bit a problem here because at some point the case on the first sentence of the case, both parties agree on the delivery dates, the quality standards, and even the payment terms. So they have the binding agreement or the contract itself. However, on this one, the startup supplier has already contract signed or he or she signed on the contract, then they have a problem or nagkaroon ng breach between the two parties. So, maybe dito na papasok po si contract law or yung legal remedy natin. So, let us proceed on our case sample. So, our case sample has a bit connection with one of the consumer intellectual property laws and other laws that we discussed earlier. So the case sample is connected with the startup supplier fails to deliver. So to see how these laws apply in real life, so let's look at a case sample that we have on our screen. So imagine a retail company signs a contract with a startup supplier for raw materials. So the agreement includes that we have the delivery dates, the quality standards, and the payment terms. So these are the three important keys na meron tayo. So the delivery dates, the quality standards, and the payment terms. So, but the supplier fails to deliver on time, causing the company financial losses. So what will happen next? So, the retail company can invoke the contract's remedies clause. So, asking for damages or even terminating the agreement to find another supplier. Kasi hindi siya sunod dun sa terms and agreements nyo na mag-deliver on time. Well, this only shows how contract law protects businesses when one party doesn't uphold their responsibilities to their customers. So that's why, for me, one of the important law that we have in business is the contract law. So if you have the contract law and if you have the contract in your business, so it might start up a good relationship with your investors and other partners in business.
Good day, everyone. My name is Nicole Andrew Domingo, and now let's proceed to the next question. What does it mean when we say that law is a rule of conduct? So, characteristics of law have four features. The first one is rule of conduct. It guides how people should behave. Like example, traffic laws tells driver to stop at red lights. And the second one is obligatory. It's not optional, you must follow it. And the third one is promulgated by authority. Laws are made and declared by legitimate authorities. Example, Congress passing a new education law. And the last one is for the common good. Its ultimate purpose is to benefit society. An example, environmental laws protect not just us, but future generations too. So the next question is, what is the common root or foundation of the five classifications of law? So here are all types of law. So let's start with divine law. Divine law, laws from God or religion, example, the Ten Commandments. And the next one is natural law, universal principles based on reason and nature. And the third one is moral law, based on conscience and values. And the next one is physical law, laws of science. And the last one is state law, rules created by governments. So the example of the state law is the constitutions or civil codes. And the next question is, what source of law is considered the highest authority in the pyramid? So let's see in the next slide. So at the top of the pyramid is the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. So below we have statutes, laws made by legislators. The next one is regulations, rules created by government agencies, and case law, judicial decisions that interpret laws. And the last one is customs, traditional practices that still influence society. So, example, if Congress passes a law limiting free speech, the Supreme Court can strike it down because the Constitution guarantees that freedom. Which strength of law is shown as the highest in the bar chart? So, as you can see, the strongest strength is protection. Laws protect citizens, their rights, and their safety. So, example, workplace safety laws protect employees from dangerous conditions. Without them, employers could ignore safety measures. So now let's proceed to the next question. What does the balance scale symbolize in the image? So here's our balance scale. On one side, we have the strength of law, and on the other side is the limitations. Slow process, costly procedures, and sometimes confusing languages. So, example, court trials bring justice, but they can take years, so justice delayed feels like justice denied. Let's move to the last question. Which three ways did AI help according to the graphic? So AI working alongside humans in law, AI is good at summarizing, structuring, and even providing examples. But it has weaknesses too, like being inaccurate sometimes. So example, AI can summarize a legal case in 30 seconds, but lawyers still reviews it for accuracy. And now, let's proceed to the conclusion. And that's it. Law is the foundation of order in society. In business, it provides structure, ensures fairness, and forces accountability. Without law, contracts would mean nothing, and trust would collapse. Example, imagine signing a lease for an apartment. Without laws to enforce the agreement, either the landlord or tenant could break the deal without consequences. So, there you have it, the roots, classification, sources, strength, and even future of law. Thank you everyone for watching our talk show.
So let us start with our Q&A. So I'm Tracy Alonzo together with my partner Nicole Andre Domingo. So this project was for obligations and negotiation subject. So HR Talks will be our title for the presentation today. So why HR Talks 4.0? So my previous groups and my previous presentations headed by yours truly, Trixie Alonzo, has been successful on the HR Talks 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0 on the previous subjects that we had. With this one, we have to elevate some ideas that it is a bit not natural as a reporter. So this kind of idea is not just about reporting but also like a talk show, a question and answer portions during the discussion. So we tend to ready some questions that we'll have to answer during the discussions and explain further about those ideas. Well, these ideas still connected to our assigned topic, which is the week 1 edition or the introduction to law.
For us, one of the key tools we used to turn our ideas into HR talk was AI Gemini. At first, we had a lot of concepts in mind, but it was challenging to organize them and figure out which ones were realistic and impactful. With Gemini, we were able to brainstorm more effectively, structure our ideas, and even explore different approaches that we might not have thought of on our own. It helped us not just in planning but also in execution, like creating timelines, refining content, and making sure everything was aligned with our goals. In short, Gemini acted like a partner that guided us through the entire process. That's why HR Talks became possible